what's next? So we've considered, we thought about whether or not we want to run the race, then we prepared for the race, then we run the race. Now the race is over, we've crossed the finish line, now what? What do we do now? I want to talk a little bit about that. One of the strongest, most powerful words in all the English language to me is the word consider. Because what that means is that word is, it means that I have options in front of me. And I have to make a decision. With all these options and all these choices that are presented to me, the word consider means I have to make a decision. I have to consider. And when I consider, it's not simply a decision. The word consider cannot be defined simply by saying it's a decision, because a decision is something that we can do quickly. To consider something means I have given thought. I have reflected. I have weighed in a balance the advantages, the disadvantages. I have positioned myself to let this thing stew a little bit until I see. The word decision is something, that's what I do after consideration has happened. But the decision doesn't come until consideration has occurred. So to me, consider, for me, is one of the strongest words in the English language, or any language, whatever that word might be in somebody else's language. But that word consider to me is so strong because every single day as believers, you and I are walking through life, and there are things that approach us, are presented to us, appear to us, or we're a part of, that we really need to consider. Not simply make a decision, but to consider. And so that word has a lot of depth to it. It has thought to it. It makes us think. It makes us wonder. It makes us observe. It makes us stew this thing, roll this thing over and over in us until we come to a conclusion. You remove that word from our existence and every possibility dies with it. How is that true? Because if I'm unwilling to consider, if I don't have the option of considering 5 things that are sitting before me, if I cannot consider them, no decision can be made, because the decision always follows the consideration. So if I cannot consider it, I cannot make a decision. If a decision is not made, those things will pass away. But before a decision is made, there has to be some consideration in order to make that thing. So I asked a question on Thursday night, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. In fact, I'm only going to spend about 30 seconds on it. And I asked this question: are we shaping the world, or is the world shaping us? So I want to talk to you about some things this morning, and I want to share it, and I want to do it in such a way that I can help you understand. So we've thought about this race. We've made a decision to run the race. Then we prepare for the race by working out, doing whatever it is that we do to work out for the race. Then we run this race. Then we cross the finish line. Well, what's next? What's next? So let me ask a question in this room. How many people would say that in running a race, when you do things, how many people would say that you do it with everything that you've got? Raise your hand real quick. Whenever you do something, you give it everything that you've got. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Okay, that's most people in here. I'm going to ask you to do a little quick exercise with me this morning, would you? Would you cooperate with me? We're going to do a little physical exercise this morning. You ready? Now don't tell, if you see anybody in the second service, don't tell them what we're doing right now, because I don't want them to be prepared. You ready? Okay, I want you to raise your left hand as high as you can. Now higher. Now higher. Okay, now sit down. Why is it when I asked you the first time to raise it as high as you could, you didn't do it? You just told me that you do everything that you do the best you can the first time. Then I asked you to raise your left hand, and you raised it up. And then I said higher, and you found a higher place. Then I said even higher, and you still found a higher place. How far could I go? How far could I take that? Did that shock you? Who said it's not very nice? That's my wife. I have another exercise. Maybe we'll do that one in the second service. That was not very nice either. What's next? See, when we run the race, we give it our all. See, you just ran a race. Your race was raise your left hand as high as you can. Okay, I raised it. Well, and you just told me before you raised your left hand that what you do it, you give it everything you've got. Well, we just demonstrated that none of us did. None of us gave that everything we got. And here's the thing. None of us considered. Now, everybody raised their hand as soon as I said it without consideration. What's he really asking? What's behind this question? What's in this? What's he really looking for? He said, let's see, let me consider this for a second. He said, raise my left hand as high as I can. So there's something to that. I only have one left hand, so there's not a lot to consider with that. But as high as I can, what does that mean? Let me consider that. And then I can say, I gave it everything that I've got. That's the nature of the kingdom of God today. So let me ask you this question now that we've demonstrated that really nobody is running that race as fast as best they can. Let me ask you this, would that then also be true about your relationship to the Father? When you say, I'm doing all I can to honor Him and walk with Him, are you? If He were to say to you, can you give a little, you give me all you got, are you giving me all you got? I'm giving you everything I've got. And He said, can you give me a little bit more? And you say, I'll give you a little bit more. Well, you just told me that you were giving me all you've got. It's like the many times in music, just stay with me for a second. Many times in praise and worship and or music ministry, worship here, and I'll talk about, and I'll have people shout, man, somebody, let's shout. Come on, let's shout. Everybody shout. You know, you get, first time around, you get 30 people shouting. Then you say it again, you get 60 people shouting. You say it again, you get 100 people shouting. But it's like this move of there's no consideration to it. What am I shouting about? And is there a shout in me? And if there's a shout in me, I'm going to shout. See, I said this again Thursday night, and I'll say this real quick because I said it just a moment ago, I think. Leadership is not at all about getting people to do what I tell them to. It's about getting people to want what I want. That's leadership. People do what I tell them to do, that's not leadership. They just respect you. But when people do what you want because they want what you want, that's honor. That's faith, that's belief. That's digging deep. That means something's been considered. I consider that what I see in this person's life is something that I believe would be effective in my own. See, we respect people that we don't agree with. We do not honor people we do not agree with. So let's talk about some things here this morning. Can we do that? I want to talk first of all about a faith shift. Everybody say with me, faith shift. Say it again. See how many did everybody? I said everybody say with me. How many everybody said faith shift? See how many ways this is demonstrated this morning? Consider. Everybody say with me, faith shift. Faith shift. We need, everybody, at our core, we need a fundamental shift in our understanding of faith. We need a fundamental shift in our understanding of faith. Now, I'm going to say something. I'm not trying to make people upset with what I'm about to say. If you will listen to what I'm going to say, it will help you to understand how you can better fulfill your purpose, or really completely fulfill it, not just in part. So let me say this now. Faith is less about belief. Everybody say this with me. In fact, if you say it, you're saying it, so I'm going to ask you to agree with yourself. Say this. Say faith is less about belief. In fact, let's say it a little bit different. Say it like this. Say, faith is less about what I believe and more, you ready for this? About innovation. What? Faith is less about belief, or less about what I believe, and more about innovation. We try to have faith, and this is the thing that I believe really sets us apart from whether or not we're religious. And understand me this morning. If you're sitting here this morning or you're watching online today and you're hearing me say some of the things that I'm saying and you're feeling a little offended or a little mad or like I'm pointing you out or something because you didn't know any better. Listen, at all points of our life, we can come into this place where we become religious about whatever we're doing. All of us have to be delivered from that place in our life that has restrained us. So there's opportunity. My positioning is giving everybody an opportunity to grow out of those religious places into those kingdom places that He has provided for us. See, religion will never allow you to raise your left arm any higher than its borders. But the kingdom sets you free into freedom. Religion sets you free into bondage. So faith is less about belief and more about innovation. Hear what I'm about to tell you right now. We, everybody say we, in our life, in our choices, in our decisions, and I've got to move along. I'm not going to nearly finish this in this first service, but I'll finish it in the second one. We, everybody again say we. We try to have faith. We attempt to have faith because of our understanding of faith. We always want to have faith in what God can do, right? I just want to have faith. I believe that God can do this. I believe that God can do this. I believe, and we look to the Father and we say, Father, I have faith that you can do this. I have faith that you can get me this job. I have faith that you can open these doors. I have faith that you can open these windows. I have faith that you can do this. I have faith that you can do that. And all the time that we're saying and we're praying and we're interceding and saying, Father, I have faith that and the Father is turning around and He's looking at us and Yahweh saying, well, you need to stop for a second. You need to consider what I have faith in. And the Father turns in and He says, if you consider it for a moment, you'll realize I'm less interested in how much faith you have in what I can do, and I'm more interested in how much faith you have in what you can do. He said, I have faith that you can do this. You keep waiting on me. I'm going to tell you, write this down if you need to. If you need to just do this, put this on your mirror, your picture, whatever. Just understand this for me. God's never opened a window. He's never opened anybody's doors. I have faith that that door can open, but I'll stand here and pray all day long, and that door is not doing anything. Father, open that door, because on the other side of that door there is life. I promise there's something on the other side of that door. Father, open that door. My purpose, my destiny, everything lays on the other. It's laying on the other side of that door. It is seated on the other side of that door. I have faith, Father. I have faith. I'm going to get close to that door so that faith really can operate well, can function well. I'm just building up my faith. I'm drawing the faith, Father. I'm praying, I'm prophesying. I'm standing in my closet. I've been in my closet for 3 days, now 3 months, now 3 years. Now I'm old and dying, and I'm wondering how come that door never opened. Father, I have faith. I have faith. I have faith. And the Father says, yeah, well, you've had faith all your life in what I can do, and I've had faith all your life in what you can do. Problem is, you depended on your faith. You never depended on my faith. And He said, my faith is that you can open the door. And then all of a sudden, I get that understanding, and boom, who opened that door? Write this down. God never touched a doorknob. He never touched a doorknob. He never opened a door. He never opened a window. So I've run this race. What's next? Faith is less about what I believe. Again, faith is less about what I believe. It's less about what I believe. It's more about innovation. It's more about innovation. I'm really excited about what I'm going to be talking about. The series for the month of March is called Kingdom Incorporated. Very excited about getting to this. But it is less about what I believe, and it's more about innovation. We have all this faith in what the Father can do, and the Father says, but you know what? I have faith in what you can do. Turn with me in your Bibles to Acts chapter 7. Acts chapter 7, verse 22. I'm going to read it out of the English Standard Version. Oh man, are you ready for this morning? Say it with me again before I read this. Say, faith is less about what I believe and more about innovation. How many understand when I say to you, Moses did not believe in himself much? Moses was so, I can't get into all that right now, but I'm going to share a story about him, but I can't dig into that right now. I have too short a time. But Moses did not have any confidence in Moses. He had no confidence in Moses, almost none. So really, it's just like Gideon. It's almost as if the Father had to talk him into Moses. I'm going to tell you something. I created you. I want you to begin to have faith in who you are, faith in your capabilities. Well, I don't have any capabilities. I can't even talk. I can't get into this, I don't have time. But I can't even speak. But I'm sure that the Father was saying, Moses, you're frustrating me because you have so much faith in me, you have no faith in you. I want you to consider my faith. All you're worried about is how much faith you got. See, a lot of people today, they wander around, especially in religious circles and churches all over, in Pentecostal realms especially, you know, these faith movements and what have you. And I'm, by root, by nature, by my genesis in the kingdom, I'm a Pentecostal guy. I guess that would be probably safe to say, or at least was a Pentecostal guy. Now I'm none of that. I'm not Pentecostal. I'm not Baptist. I'm not Catholic. I'm none of that. I'm a son. I'm just a son. I'm just a son. I'm a hearer. I'm a doer. I trust the Father. I'm a believer. I'm a man of God. And that's what I live by. I don't identify myself with any particular denomination now, coming or past. But I believe in the word of the Lord. So here's Moses, and the Father saying, Moses, come on, man. I'm not interested in how much faith you've got in you. I'm interested in what you think, how much faith you think I have in you, or how much faith you have in me. I'm interested in how much faith do you think I have in you. And see, much of the church world today, what I was going to say in the religious system, especially in the Pentecostal movement, in that system it's always about how much faith they've got. They're always made to feel guilty. We just pray with a little more faith. You just need a little bit more faith. And they teach people, just increase your faith, increase your faith. We've all been given a measure of faith. We've all been given a measure of faith, a measure of faith. And the Father's saying, I want you to have faith, the kind of faith that I have. The kind of faith that I have is what you can do. I want you to have faith in what you're capable of. I want you to have faith in what you're capable of. You need to hear what I'm saying today. You really need to get what I'm saying. I'm going to make it clear in just a second. So faith is less about what I believe. It's more about innovation. What's innovation? What's that mean? What does innovation mean? I'm just going to quickly summarize innovation. Quick definition, Steve Parker's version is when things, the opportunity to change the existing moment, to change existing conditions. It is the opportunity to rearrange what is currently before us, however, whatever word you want to use, what is currently acceptable. That's innovation. So faith is more about the opportunity that I have. Everybody, you need to understand the opportunity that I have. See, I can do nothing without God. This is understood. Don't misinterpret me. In fact, let me go ahead and say this. Let me say something that I thought, oh man, maybe I shouldn't say that this morning. Maybe I won't say that this morning. I'll say this part. No, I won't. Acts chapter 7, verse 22. And Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. What? Why in the world would God use somebody that was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians? Moses wasn't instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians after Yahweh rescued him. Man, I've got to get going here. And Moses was instructed in all the wisdom. I'm going to go quickly. Here we go. I'm going to go quickly now. If you want to hear all of it in detail, you'll come to the next service. And Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and he, everybody say he. What? I like doing that. What? And he was mighty in his what? Words and deeds. And who do you think knew that? Yahweh. Moses didn't become trained in all the ways of the Egyptians because it was his idea. God had orchestrated this whole thing and began to put the pieces together because he knew exactly what was going to be necessary. We don't catch him off guard, but he's orchestrated where you are right now. You might be detesting, oh, I hate where I'm at. I don't like where I'm at. I don't like what's going on. The whole time the Father's saying, have a little faith in yourself. I do. If you'll stop having faith in me to get you out of this thing. It was my faith that got you in it. And I got you there on purpose. Learn something from it. Stop balking at it. Stop kicking it in the ribs. And Moses was instructed in all the wisdom of the Egyptians, and Moses was mighty in Moses' words and deeds. Listen to this. This is really cool. I got 3 points I got to make, so I got to make them quickly. First, Moses was, quote, trained by the Egyptians. Gives us a little bit of insight into the importance and biblical soundness of owning our birthright, doesn't it? I really need to own my birthright. First of all, why am I here? In Moses' case, he was trained by the Egyptians for a particular purpose, but he could not have accomplished that purpose had he not been trained by the Egyptians. He would have never had the influence with Pharaoh had he not been trained by the Egyptians and been brought up in Pharaoh's house. While he was cursing the moment and the day and the seconds and the hours and counting them as they went by, didn't even know until he knew. But while he was wondering how did all this happen and beginning to come into a revelation of, you know what, I'm actually Hebrew. When all of that became real to him and he began to question all that, that was all part of the Father's plan. And the Father said, you know what, Moses, I'm not opening any doors for you. I'm not even going to split the Red Sea for you. You're going to do that. Isn't it interesting how Moses had to put his staff in the water first? God! We've come into this place. We can't cross this thing. The Egyptians are upon us, and I've got all these people, and you brought us out here to die. And the Father said, you know what? You're one of those guys, man. You're one of those religious idiots. You have so much faith in me. So much faith in me, Moses. Goodness gracious, you have so much faith in me. Do you have any faith in you? I have faith in you, Moses. Take that rod in your hand and stick it in the water and part the Red Sea. Oh, I'm going to wait until you do it because I'm just me. He said, Moses, you have run this race, man. You have grown up in Pharaoh's house. You've been trained in all their ways. You have run this race. You were prepped. You were prepared. You floated down a river in a little basket. Somebody found you, took care of you, nursed you. They did all of this stuff, trained you up, made you wise, made you smart, did all of these things, put a crown on your head, painted you up with all that pretty paint they paint all those Egyptian people with. They fixed you all up, gold wrapped all around you, did all of the things that they did, and then I let you be discovered. And now you want me to part the sea too? Come on, Moses. Come on, people. Come on, you. Come on, me. Come on, us. Come on, us. Come on, us. He said, Moses, faith isn't about what you believe right now. Faith is about innovation. What do you hold in your hand? Well, all I have is this staff. Really? Consider what you have. It's just a stick. Really? Really? Isn't that the same stick that devoured the serpents? Isn't that the same stick that released the heavens to pour out its fire and its locusts and its flies and its frogs? That's all you have? Moses, I have faith in you. I'm not opening this door, Moses. I've equipped you to. You're going to open this door. What do you hold in your hand? Consider what's in your hand. Oh, let me touch the water. Oh, wow. Wow. Whoa. I've had that the whole time? Yeah, well, somehow, Moses, you lost sight of the fact. Somehow you thought I was holding it in my hand even though it was attached to yours. Wow, you're brilliant, Moses. Remind me to never let you build the rocket that takes man to the moon. Does anybody hear me this morning? He said, parting the Red Sea has nothing to do with how much you believe that I can do it. He said, it has your faith. It has nothing to do with how much faith you have that I can do it. What it has is how much innovation is present in you. Do you have the faith that I have imparted to you the ability to do? I've told people before that struggled going to a doctor to get healing or to get care or to do things or do surgeries because they felt like it was a sign of weakness in their faith. They lacked faith to be healed and faith to be delivered and faith for all of these things. And I've told them before, who do you think gave that doctor that wisdom? You're waiting on God to do something. If He's already equipped somebody to heal you up and make you better, go ahead and accept that faith. I'm not going to die because I'm waiting on God to open a door to my healing when He's already opened the door to my healing. It just isn't the door I thought it was going to be. We walk past opportunity because it doesn't look like God when all along it's God's name's all over it. We walk past the door that has glory written over it and walk straight to the door that has Ichabod written over it. Does anybody hear me this morning? I'm just preaching. So he was trained by the Egyptians. It's interesting. Let me ask you this about innovation. I'm probably going to be stuck on that. I have two other points, family, business, and other things to talk about, peer influence, but I'm not going to get to that till the second service. So let me just wrap this up with this one. I'm going to stick with faith shift. What are we telling the next generation when we tell them that they need Bible school instead of MBAs? I wish I could wrap all this up. There's no chance it's going to happen this service. What are we telling the next generation when we tell them that they need to go to Bible school, that are coming up and they want to know, how do I follow after the kingdom? How do I do this and how that? Well, you need to go to Bible school. They're going to teach you how to preach. I had to unlearn everything I learned in Bible school. I went to Bible school. I went to it, and it messed me up. Imprisoned me. It set me free into bondage. It freely gives. You need to hear me this morning. So what do we tell the next generation? We tell them you need to go to Bible school because they're going to teach you how to have faith. They're going to teach you how to preach with vigor and venom. It's not the word I was looking for, but vigor. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. They're going to show you how to do this. They're going to teach you how to do this. They're going to teach you how to break it down. They're going to teach you how to get you 3 points or 4 points. And they're going to teach you how to make sure that you wrap it up within 30 minutes, or 25 is the target and 30 is the extent. They're going to teach you that people can't take that much. Shh. Hold on, Shane. I'm sorry to shush you, but right now I need undivided attention. They're going to tell you this is what you can do. But you know what innovation is? Innovation is changing the current situation. It's changing what currently exists around us, this current situation that we have. It's changing this, shifting this. It's positioning ourselves. And he said, this is the faith shift. That you stop saying, now it's important, I have faith in the Father that anything I'm able to do that's good comes from the Father. But the faith shift is this. Less in what I believe about what He can do, and more about what I believe that He put in me that I can do. This whole year we'll focus on reconciling balance. I'm going to tell you, you will not reconcile your life because you're waiting on God to reconcile you. You will not balance those areas in your life that are out of balance because you keep praying to God and you keep saying, God, balance this in me. Because He's not going to do it. He's not going to change these places in your life. He's not going to do it. But what He has done is He's equipped you, and at some point you come to the place where you said, this is a faith shift. I'm not waiting on Him to open the door, because He's never opened a door. He's never opened a window. He's never closed one. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. What the Father does is He makes possibilities. He presents possibilities to you and me. He says, I put something in you. What are you going to do with it? Yeah, that might be a Red Sea in front of you. There's a staff in your hand. I made sure that it got there, but what are you going to do with it? Innovation. Faith is less about what I believe, and it's more about innovation. I have faith to believe that I can change the world, because I'm not going to be telling the next generation, if you just go to Bible school, man, they'll just equip you to make a whole lot more religious people. But let me tell you what this faith shift is. Let me tell you what I want you to do in this house. Whatever influence I have is mostly, it relates to this house, this ministry. So the generation that's coming up behind me, and you're looking for what's coming, what's in front of you, regardless of how old you are, you're looking to go to school. Let me ask you to do something today. You want to make the name of Yahweh great in all the earth today, you need to have a faith shift. And this is what I encourage you to do. Become a doctor. Become a lawyer. Become a mathematician. Become a politician. Become an attorney. Become a businessman. Become a nurse. Become a whatever. The kingdom of God doesn't need more people that are always waiting on God to do all the work. The kingdom of God needs more people that are integrating ourselves into a society that's looking for somebody to be the real deal. We don't need more people with Bible degrees. We need more people with faith in what the Father has put in them to become and to do and to be, that recognizes the staff that is in their hand and the potential that they have with that staff that is in their hand. Do you hear me in this house this morning? I'm going to talk about the second point, family business, very quickly. Family business. At its origin, business was a family business always. Genesis to Revelation, all business started with family. You go all through Scripture and business was family. When Rome began to rule the world, they created this thing called a corporation. And corporation, that word corporation is long for corp, which in the Latin word for corp is the Latin word for body. Body. And what Rome did was they took what was supposed to be lineal and they made it social. They took what was meant to be lineal, passed from generation to generation, and they spread that out. It was the first welfare system. The beginning of corporations was a system that enabled welfare, that enabled people to depend on other people whether they would work for it or not. So what they did was they created this think tank that eliminated individual innovation. See, what Rome decided is they're dealing with all of this and they're looking at all of this and they realize that this carpenter's making all the wood and they're making all the chairs and they're making all the tables and they're doing all this and they're getting the big cut and they're fashioning and they're forming this. What does a corporation do? Corporations come in and do what homogenized milk did. It took distinct tastes from, if you got milk from California in one season, you got milk from Florida, it tasted different. It depended on what those cows ate. It was very distinct. And then the government came in and did what Rome did, and they said, let's incorporate this thing. Let's homogenize this thing. So they blended it all together, so now you don't know where your milk comes from because it tastes the same no matter where you get it. So everybody's happy about it. Well, not everybody's happy about it. The farmer that was raising that cow in Florida and the farmer that was raising that cow in California and he was processing and he was selling and it was his family business, he's not happy about that anymore because now instead of paying him the fair share, he's getting subsidized. Do you hear me in this room today? So what we need is innovators, and that's what the Father's calling out. He's saying, you know what, I can't have innovators when people keep looking at me. Without a faith shift, there will never be innovation in the church. And if there's not innovation in the church, we're not going to reach the people that are looking for the church to be leaders. See, the world needs the church to be leaders, and instead the church is too happy with the world leading. We are too happy with them occupying the places that innovators should be occupying. They're becoming the innovators. Problem is what they're innovating is not good. We need to stop complaining about, man, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe this group is doing that and that group's doing. Let's stop complaining. Let's do ours. Let's do what we're responsible for. So the statement that I made that made the guy upset was because I said what we were telling the next generation today is we tell them they need to go to Bible school instead of getting MBAs. Because we raise our kids up in the church world today and we're like, man, you need to go to Bible school. You go to Bible school, man, I'm telling you, you go to Bible school, they'll teach you all about the Bible. They'll tell you about Jesus. They'll tell you about God. And, well, man, if you didn't learn that from your preacher, you didn't learn that from your mom and dad, Bible school, all they're going to do is hurt you. So the guy said, I don't know if he was offended or not, but he made a comment on there and he said, well, you can mix faith with training. Well, you can mix faith with training, but I'm going to tell you something about this. If you're going to Bible school, just to go to Bible school, and I want to make it clear because I appreciated your comment. I don't know who you were. But let me tell you this. What I appreciate about it is this. I went to Bible school. I had to unlearn everything that I learned in Bible school because they didn't teach me to be an innovator. They taught me how to quote Scripture. They taught me how to parrot everything that they said. They did not teach me how to keep a job. They did not teach me how to improve my skill set. They did not teach me how to relate to other people. They did not teach me how to go into my job and be excellent at it. I never heard the first word about honor or integrity or respect. I went to Bible college. So I know what it looks like. But the church world, we're raising up that next generation. We're sending them to Bible school. We need to be telling them, go get your MBA. And if you really feel like you have to do it, at least go to a Bible school that you can get an MBA at. Because if we want to be innovators, then we need to be positioned in such a place where we become the attorneys and the doctors and the lawyers and the politicians and the whatever else. We need to be doing that. Let me tell you something. I'm not knocking whatever you do. Whatever you do, whether it's with a degree or without a degree, I'm telling you, I'm thankful that you're doing it. But what I am telling you is this. You really need to self-evaluate. And you really need to ask yourself, am I doing exactly what I was created to do? And if you're not, no matter how old you are, then go get yourself a degree so that you can begin to become an innovator. If you're not in a position where you can innovate something, then get somewhere in some way where you can. This is a faith shift. This takes it from being what the church expects of us so that we look to the world to be the innovators. We want the world to begin to look at us as the innovators and say, man, whatever they're doing, we got to be a part of that or we're falling behind. I don't want to look at Twitter and say, why you? Why not me? Why not us? I said to my wife yesterday, I was sharing with her some of this, and I said, man, I'm running out of time. I'm so sorry. But I said to my wife yesterday, I'm talking and sharing with her some of this stuff because I'm so excited and passionate about this and been waiting to get to this. And I said to her yesterday, I said, we went from a stone age and an ice age and an iron age and a bronze age and a manufacturing age and to a technology age, and then now we're in a digital age. But it's the world that keeps defining those ages. I said, what's next? And then I said, maybe it's the light age, but I don't want the world to be the innovator that takes us from the digital age to the light age or whatever age that is. Can we not be those? And I can tell you we can't be if everybody we bring up in the church is getting a Bible degree. But if we can position them, Yahweh had so much forethought. He said, I'm going to put Moses in the situation where he is trained by the Egyptians who don't even like me. And his words and his deeds will be mighty, and he will be empowered and enabled and smart. And he will be able to do what others cannot. He said, so I'm looking for innovators. I'm looking for people to rise up and to come to the place where they become innovators. And they say, select me. He doesn't need more people with Bible degrees. I don't need more people in this church with Bible degrees. I need people in this church that have faith to do what God created you to do. That have faith to believe that you can change what is going on around us. That have faith to believe we don't have to keep looking at the world, letting them dictate to us what comes next. We become the ones. We begin to draw the lines. We begin to make the way. We begin to plow the roads. We begin to make a path. We are the innovators. We are the innovators. What's next? I don't know. That's up to you. And it's up to how you position yourself. That's up to what you do when you walk out of here with this message that I didn't even finish. I'm going to have to finish next week. And I'll be okay if you stop saying, God do this and God do that. And you start looking in the mirror and say, Steve, John, Judy, Rick, Larry, Jane, get up and make a difference. You get up today and consider where you are, consider the seat you're sitting in, consider the place where you are, and make a difference. Innovate.